Hello, Facebook fans and YouTube fans of DX Engineering. It's Thursday afternoon. It's 18:30 Zulu. That's 2:30 Eastern Time here in the USA. It's time for the Manufacturers Showcase, brought to you by DX Engineering. And today we have a special guest. It's the owner of Vibroplex. It's Scott, W4PA. Hello, Scott.
Greetings. Good to see you, Tim.
Good to see you. And I see you're there. Kind of looks a little warehouse, looks a little bit of everything that's going on, and you're staying safe, right?
I basically haven't left the house in 6 months. My house is 3 blocks from the office, and I have a car that I'm making payments on that I don't drive. Yeah, I basically haven't seen, except my employees and my wife, have seen almost no one in 6 months, haven't been anywhere, been working. Well,
that's good. You got a lot of stuff to do, and Vibroplex, 115-year-old company. That is amazing. It started in 1905, and there's just been a handful of owners, right?
Yeah, I'm the 8th owner of the business in 115 years, and so it's changed hands about every 15 years or so, and I've owned it now for 11 years. And yeah, it's the oldest continuously operating business in amateur radio. They started off building commercial telegraph keys in 1905, and of course, people that are interested in amateur radio glommed right onto that immediately. And so they evolved, from the semi-automatic key into single lever paddles once there were electronic keys, straight keys, and it's been great. I've enjoyed doing this over the last 11 years.
Well, and you've got a lot of other product lines that you've brought in under that Vibroplex umbrella now, and we want to talk a little bit about some of those. And if you have questions for Scott on Vibroplex products and the vast array of products that he's got, make sure you put those into the comment area, and we'll make sure that Scott takes a shot at helping you. So let's see one of the Vibroplex. You have a Vibroplex key there, Scott?
Yeah, I've got one of them here. This is the Vibroplex Vibro key, or single lever paddle. And back in the day when electronic keying first started, would have been the 1950s, there was actually the invention of the electronic keyer predated there being any paddles available to be able to send with. And so some of the more industrious hams started taking Vibroplex bugs and hacking off the back of the lever arm with a hacksaw. And then they would use it as a key that had no weight on it, that instead was just a mechanism. So what Vibroplex did in 1960, as you can see, this looks just exactly like the Vibroplex bug semi-automatic key, only it's chopped off right here, so there's no lever arm with a weight on the end to control the jets, etc. And then they offered it as a commercial product. So this actually was the very first commercially available paddle for sending CW using electronic keyer, and it came out in 1960, and we're still selling it as you see here today.
Wow, that's great. And I guess it would be hard through the 8 owners to know how many Vibroplex keys are around the world, but boy, just about every shack, that's a CW guy has got a Vibroplex key.
Oh yeah, it's somewhere around 400,000, as best I can tell, have been sold over the life of the company.
Wow, that's great. Let's talk about some of the other things that you sell. You have a tuner that you just released that goes along with the IC705.
Yeah, that's right. We started representing a company in the Far East called Matt Tuner. And Matt Tuner started in 2017 building very nice quality automatic antenna tuners, very nice machining, beautiful circuit boards. And in 2019, we started repping them in the United States and Canada on an exclusive basis, and of course made these products available through DX Engineering as well. And about 2 months ago, they announced that there was going to be a new tuner specifically for and controllable by the new ICOM 705 QRP radio. It's called the MAT 705. I've got an example of it right here. You can see how little it is. Only in the palm of my hand. Not very big. Weighs about 6 ounces. Powered by an internal 9-volt battery, just as you'd buy, off the shelf at convenience stores or whatever. Doesn't need power from the radio to power. Controllable directly from the ICOM rig. Comes with a cable, 3.5 millimeter stereo on each end. On the rear of the tuner, you got a jack here. It says CON for control. The 705 has a corresponding jack marked tuner. You plug the tuner right in, and you control this. A couple ways you can control it. The most obvious way to control it would be this Icon 705 has a user interface control on the touchscreen for actuating an external tuner. You just hit tune, you can tune it. The tuner will RF sense as well. You can tune it merely by changing bands, like you go from 20 meters to 40, hit the PTT on the mic, tuner will sense the frequency change and automatically tune. Now, what it won't do for RF sensing is, let's say you've tuned the tuner on 14 megahertz, and then you've changed frequency on 14 megahertz, and the SWR hasn't changed appreciably. It won't then RF sense tune. If you want to reactuate a tuning sequence, you've got to hit the tune button on the Icon 705 to again engage the tuner. And this is going to be a terrific product. We're selling this retail for $219.95. DX Engineering, of course, will be retailing this as well. I've got a sample unit here. The actual production units for the first run are probably going to beat the radio to market. I think I'm going to have them here in hand to be able to deliver around the 15th of September. Nice, nice.
What else do you have in your bag of tricks there?
Okay, we have some other things we got going on with CW again is we have a couple of Japanese key manufacturers that we have a relationship with, GHD and High-Mount. And these are Japanese companies that have been around for a long time. High-Mount in particular has been manufacturing CW keys for ham radio use since 1947. The previous distributor was Marshall M., a good friend of mine, ran a company called Morse Express, and unfortunately Marshall became a silent key at the beginning of this year. And High-Mount GHD approached me and said, we need some new distribution in the United States. We'd appreciate if you take this over. Their companies are not much alike. GHD is a very high-end quality product. They build a very nice-looking, super, exquisite feel CW keys, beautiful chrome bases, have a pretty good price tag to match. They sell between $250 and $300, but it is certainly a premium item. Now, High-Mount, on the other hand, High-Mount is an economy-priced key. They specialize in doing straight keys, although they do have a couple of iambic paddles as well. I've got one of the High-Mount keys right here. This is their model HK707, and you can see it's got a sort of a black cover. They call it a shroud. Not like some of the military keys that were manufactured in Eastern Europe in the 60s and 70s. Chromed brass lever arm here on the front. The shroud actually comes off. There are tensioning screws under this case that allow you to adjust contact spacing, spring tension. This is sold in a couple of different models. We have this model with the black cover. There's one with a clear cover, and then they also sell one at a slight discount with a clear cover. Pretty good pricing too. This one is the black version. It's $99.95, as is the clear one. The version that has no cover sells a little bit less for $89.95, and they actually have a straight key starting at $49.95, which we're also going to be retailing as well. And you see the action on this key. It's got it connected to the code oscillator here. Pretty easy to settle with too.
Yeah, boy, that is nice, Scott. And the price points are really good on that. And there is a question. If you have a question for Scott, W4PA, please put it in the comments section. Andrew says, will anyone be making a nice linear suited for the IC705 for people wanting to operate it in the car and just needing extra power? No real options except RM Italy. And whoever made one at a decent fair price, I think would clean up. Yes, RM Italy has a 200-watt amplifier that it's, I think 10 watts in will give you 200 out. So that right now, that's all I know of. And but I'm sure somebody will jump on that, and we'll see more competition in that area. What about wire antennas, Scott? What are you guys doing on wire antennas?
Wire antennas, yeah. We took over, if the audience is familiar with L&R Precision, L&R was the owner of the PAR NFED's NFED half-wave antenna line, and PAR was the original NFED half-wave antenna, came out probably about 15 years ago now. The market, and L&R Precision had taken that over from Dale Parfit after Dale had gotten involved more in the commercial business. And then in turn, Larry Drawn, who was running the business in North Carolina, decided that he was going to retire last year. And so we ended up acquiring the line from him. the NFED's line's got a whole bunch of different stuff. A lot of single band antennas, any NFED wire antenna that you'd want for any frequency between 6 and 80 meters. We manufacture as a single band item. We have a variety of multi-band antennas. The line that I inherited from them consisted of a 4-band antenna that was 200 watts, 10, 15, 20, 40. There's a trail-friendly antenna that's a QRP antenna that's made with 22 gauge wire on a small winder with a trap. Antenna weighs, including the matchbox, 4 ounces. I mean, it's so tiny you can stick it in your pocket. That antenna, there's a 100-watt version of that. So I started looking at this, and one of the things that started to come up right away was how come you don't have a high-power version? You know, you've got antennas that are multi-band antennas up to a couple hundred watts, but you know, I've got a 500-watt amp and I want to do something like this because it's a great antenna solution. I mean, it's an all-purpose antenna. It's very easy to set up because you can stick the feed line on the matchbox. The matchbox can be any place. It can be at eye level. I mean, the antenna we have here in the backyard of Vibroplex, the feed point is literally at eye level, tied off with a rope to a fence in the backyard. And we've got a pole back there where I've got the other end about 40 feet in the air. And you couldn't be easier to put up. You don't have to try to get the coax up in the air in the middle of the antenna like with a dipole. I mean, it couldn't be simpler. So what we decided to do was we needed to come out with a high power version of this. And we came up with a design called the All Band KW, 80 through 10 meters, covers the 80, 40, 30, 20, 17, 15, 12, and 10 meter band. The only thing it's missing is 60 with SWR below 2 to 1 across the entire band on all of the bands 40 meters and below. On 80 is a 2 to 1 band, which is 100 kilohertz as you'd expect. We ship the antenna cut for the CW band, but there are instructions on how you can very easily manipulate that to have the antenna resonant in the phone band on 75 meters without having a negative effect on the other bands. We're selling this antenna for $169.95. It's been a great hit so far. All stainless steel hardware. We've got strain relief on the top, weep holes for water drain. We're using a commercial grade Amphenol vent on the side for if the toroid on the inside gets hot, it has a way to vent. Again, using the same Polystealth 18 gauge wire that we're using with everything else that we have custom made for us. So we have that antenna, and then there are a couple of more versions of that actually are coming out that DX Engineering will be carrying it as well. What immediately, this is the great thing about customer feedback is because I have time, the ability to react pretty much in real time to what people want. I mean, people come to me and they say, "Hey, could you do this?" Now, and honestly, a lot of the times it's like, "No, it's not practical. No, it's not fine." But when we came out with the 80 through 10 antenna, almost immediately somebody popped up and said, "It's a great antenna, it's a great idea, but I don't have 135 feet worth of real estate to be able to string this whole thing out. And I don't really care about 80 meters anyway. What you need is a high power version that doesn't have 80 on it also." So what we've come up with is a 40 through 10 version that's 40, 15, 40, 20, 15, and 10 meters, uses the same matching transformer at the input. It's built just like the other one is, only it's a shorter version. That antenna is going to sell for $159.95, and it's out imminently. We're building the first production run of them now. We've got a couple of other versions of this antenna in the hopper as well. I've got another one that's a shortened 80 version that is again like the 10 through 40, but we've used a coil about 52 feet out from the feed point where you're able to squeeze 75 meter operation out of it as well. The only compromise, of course, the efficiency compromise of the coil is that the shortened version of the antenna, unlike the long one where you've got 80, 40, 30, 20, 17, 15, 12, and 10, the shorter version of the antenna will only resonate on 80, 40, 20, 15, and 10 meters. But again, it's going to be, good price, probably in $159.95 price range. Well, will be a high power antenna. And then we rate these at 1 kW ICAS, which means, you can run 500 watts of this thing without any problem. You don't want to do a key down, of course, but for SSB and CW, it's fine. We're also working on the moment on a super high power version of this as well. We've been experimenting with various matchboxes where we want to be able to basically say, you can run 1,500 watts on SSB and CW to this thing safely without any, without burning up or anything. And that's another one that's coming. That's the project we're working on right now. Hopefully, I hope to have out sometime before the end of the year. I mean, one of the things, as I said about the coronavirus lockdown, is that I found myself with a lot more free time to try to pursue projects like this rather than being off on vacation or doing other things. So.
Right, right. And of course, if the folks that are listening want more information, it's vibroplex.com, and all of your products are there. And it's a very well organized website, very clean looking. And so all of the products that you bring in and also the stuff that you manufacture is all listed there. We're on with Scott Robbins, W4PA, today. If you have questions about any of the Vibroplex products, please put them in the comment area. What else do you have on the desk there, Scott?
Okay, so one of the things that we've been involved with here as well, that of course DX Engineering is as well, is microphones and headsets. We took over Inrad, International Radio, back in 2015. And Inrad has been around in a couple of different iterations. It used to be Fox Tango back in the late 1970s into the 80s. And then it was IRCI when it was in Florida. And eventually George George, W2VJN, had taken over the business and had started manufacturing a number of different crystal filters for HF transceivers. In particular, was involved with building a lot of roofing filter modification kits for various legacy radios now, FT1000MP, 1000B, all the old ICOMs like the 765, 781, etc. We took over this business in 2015 from Trey Garlow, N5KO, and his partner Mark, AG9A. And at the time we took this over, it is apparent that, of course, the crystal filter business is kind of over at this point. We were selling filters to Elecraft. We continued to sell crystal filters for rigs going all the way back to the 1960s. Drake, all the Kenwoods, ICOM, Yaesu. But what I really wanted with Inrad was essentially to try to take that name and transform it into more of a general supply amateur radio business using that name. So I'd had my eye on desk microphones and headsets as a project for quite some time. And with the acquisition of Inrad, by 2017, I thought, okay, so now's the time. And we first came out with a line of desk microphones. Got an example of that here. We call this the Inrad desk microphone system. You can see here, very heavy duty bass, nice microphone on the top, push to talk lock. A little bit different about these microphones as compared to other ones is that you can use this, the variety of HF transceivers, just by changing the cable that's on the rear of the base. You see here on the base, I've got a cable coiled, an 8-pin Foster here on the end, standard for wired for ICOM, Kenwood, Yaesu. This cable detaches off the back of the base. All you have to do is just pull on this like this. You pull the 4-pin connector off the back. This is a Kenwood cable. You want to go to ICOM, you have this cable. You plug it in right here, and you plug the same microphone into an ICOM transceiver without having to change anything or rewire anything. I had a terrific review of this product in the January 2018 issue of QST magazine, where they were very complimentary about it. But what really has gone on with audio with Inrad has been W1 headset. This is the W1. This headset came out late in 2018. Inrad W1 here on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great piece of equipment. Boy, I spent a lot of time working on this. Tim, you know that I'm a radio contester. I have been since whenever. And I think I disliked every headset I'd ever had for one reason or another. I think I tried everything, and I just never, they were all usable, certainly, but I just never got it done my way. So I started fooling around with headsets, and I spent the better part of a year playing around with padding, playing with microphone elements, you know, just trying to get something that I wanted to have. I figured if I liked it, then probably I wouldn't be the only one. So this was the result of that. Again, we got a great review of this item in QST in May 2019. It was a big hit at the Dayton Hamvention last year. So this headset, very comfortable. Got big oversized earpieces here to cover your entire ear. You're not setting it on the ear and squeezing your ears back against your head. Got a gooseneck here with 600 ohm dynamic microphone. Now, one of the things I disliked about other headsets I used in the past was that there always was an attachment point here on the side of the headset where I would manage to break it. And it occurred to me that that was a weak point in a lot of them. And I wanted to do something different. So what we did here is, let me take this off. What I did here is this attachment point does not rotate. It's fixed. It's epoxied and bolted with a bolt for the headset can. And instead of making this rotational, what we did was took this so it can be flexed away. So you can just pull this aside and it's gone. Like I can't even, in my peripheral vision right now, I can see it in the camera, but I can't see this out of my left eye now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not out of the way. If I'm operating CW, I don't need that thing in front of my face anyway. The other thing we did too is I always, I liked having a coiled cord, but a coiled cord all the way to the headset was a pain. Straight cord was never the right thing either. So I came up with a hybrid. I've got the straight cord that goes 4 feet from the headset. Then we've got a coiled section like this, and then the pigtail off to the transmit audio and the headphone jack. Of course, use basically standard microphone adapters for this. For transmit audio, you plug this into an 1/8 inch mono jack, plug the 1/4 inch jack directly into the phone's jack on the transceiver, and you're ready to operate. Then you just need a PCT device or rotary box. But this has been a great product. I know DX Engineering has sold a bunch of them, which I'm greatly appreciative of. Yeah, W1.
Yeah, that's a real nice piece. And the QST review was dead nuts on. Great review, Scott. So I think your hard work paid off. Hey, Scott, show us something that is really new, something that nobody has seen except for W4PA.
This is as new as it gets, and this is something that's going to be coming out here shortly, probably within a month. And that is, we are. Let me back up a little bit. We're also the owners of Bencher. Bencher is a CW key manufacturing name that has been in existence since 1974, and frankly, as well known and popular as Vibroplex is, Bencher arguably was the manufacturer of the most well-known paddle and amateur radio, the Bencher BY1. They had sold something like 150,000 of these between 1974 and when they decided to retire. I took over Bencher in 2015 when the two owners, Bob Locher, W9K, and I, and his partner, Jerry Benedict, decided it was time to retire. And we've been manufacturing the Bencher key line here since then with the same products that they've had, the BY1 and 2, single lever paddles, straight keys. So a couple of months ago, we had our chrome plating vendor out of the blue send me a sample of black chrome and said, hey, I know you're doing CW keys in chrome and I know you're doing black powder coating, but have you ever considered what the key might look like if it was done in black chrome? And I said, okay, well, run me off one of my bases and let me have a look at it. So this just got here. And this is the BY1 in black chrome. And boy, that thing looks absolutely spectacular. I mean, I was saying to you, Tim, right before we went live, I was saying that this is the best looking Bencher key that's ever been. I mean, it's gorgeous. It looks better than the standard bright chrome. It looks better than the powder coating. And the price is going to be the same as the standard chrome version. So what this is going to be called yet, I don't know if it's going to be BY1B for black chrome or what the part number is going to be, but we're going to be building this here next month. And then this is going to be an ongoing part of the Bencher and Vibroplex key line. Really, that looked nice.
That looks great. You
can see the light shining in it.
And, talk about the Christmas present for 2020. That's going to be on the top of the list. The problem is I've got 11 Bencher BY1s here, and now I want them all to look like that.
It looks so good.
It does.
I was skeptical when he said black chrome. I remember thinking, well, that's like they use on guitars. It's a heavy metal guitar part. And
if you look in the shack, how many radios are black? It's it really is going to fit in very well. I think that's a home run, Scott. I really do. Hey, here's a question, Scott. Papa Echo 2 Kilo from the Netherlands said, how on the W1 headset, how is the filtering for, in the room for QRM?
Yeah, of course. It's great. We've got about 28 dB of passive noise canceling here. I mean, I can hear behind me, the air conditioning intake for this building is about 10 feet away behind me. I can hear it going behind me. I put these on. I don't hear the air conditioning anymore. Frankly, I probably have some trouble hearing you. So yeah, really great for passive noise canceling.
Good, good. Well, that you know, you knew the number right away, so I know that you've researched that, and great job on that.
Yeah.
And in the chat room, Scott, it's been a love fest of everybody talking about their Vibroplex keys, and certainly everybody seems happy. And it's not just from the U.S. It's from guys all around the world that are in the chat room, and just very happy and very proud to have you know, a key that has 115 years worth of history to it.
I know.
You know,
I was a history major. I was a history major in college. So, you know, needless to say,
this is a good bit.
And the thing that's crazy about it is when I started in ham radio in 1982, my dad had a Vibroplex iambic paddle on the table. I mean, goodness, I never expected all these years later I ended up owning it. Yeah, I get a huge kick out of the history of the whole thing. I mean, I greatly enjoy talking to people about the keys, about the history of the whole thing. I mean, there's been 3 books written about Vibroplex on top of that. One of which I might add is available for download for free if you go to our website. You go to the Vibroplex.com website, to the repair, parts, and documentation page. The Vibroplex Collector's Guide is now posted there for you to download. This is an item that previously we had sold in print for a number of years, and I got to the point where I decided, you know what, I'm just going to release this thing and let it go. So the whole 130 pages of all things Vibroplex can now be downloaded there, and it's everything. It's all the original patents. It's the serial number history, the different models of the keys, the pictures, descriptions. I mean, the guy who wrote it really, Tom French, who's now a Silent Key, really did a terrific job with it.
Well, that is a tremendous give back to the amateur radio community to have a book like that is free for downloading. And I want to congratulate you on doing that. That builds customer loyalty and
it does. And you know, if you allow me to plug something that I'm not even involved in, there's a great CW key collector page on Facebook called CW Bugs, Keys, and Paddles, and it's run by a guy in South Carolina named Mark Allendorf, and it's everything you can possibly imagine. You've got a bunch of guys that are super serious key collectors that are on there. And then you've got everybody else from I just bought a CW key for the first time to people who have found just the most esoteric anything you can think of over the years for sending CW and get on there. And there's basically just a continuous roundtable that goes on there all the time about Vibroplex, you know, EF Johnson. I mean, anything that was used for CW.
Wow, that's great. And hopefully some of the viewers here today will go and visit that. And so another question for you, Scott. Are you planning to be at Hamcation in February 2021?
I am absolutely planning on being there, yeah. Unfortunately, it's kind of one of those situations that's out of all of our control, you know. I'm watching what's happening with the virus. It's like, it's just, I mean, if it's safe, I'm going.
Good.
I mean, I got the dealer notification package, I think showed up in email, probably you must have got it 2-3 weeks ago, something, and said that they're planning on holding it, and if it's being held, I'm going.
Good.
So I was totally bummed that Dayton was canceled this year. It was just crushing. I mean, it really anyway.
Now, a terrible thing, but boy, we're hearing good rumors, maybe about a vaccine here later on this year. So hopefully it'll be safe, and we can get back to having Hamcation and Hamvention and all the rest of the shows that we missed out on this year. And again, that's CW Bugs, Keys, and Paddles. That's the name of the Facebook group that Scott just mentioned. So go check it out. And it sounds like a great place for a key aficionado. So Scott, thanks very much for coming on today. Tremendous amount of products that you have. And I encourage everybody to go to the Vibroplex website and to the DX Engineering website. We have a lot of Scott's products right on the shelf. We'll ship them out quick. Scott takes care of his customers. If you have any questions, you can reach him on the Contact Us page on the Vibroplex website. And Scott, I really appreciate it. It was great seeing you again.
Yeah.
And can't wait to see you in person, and continued success at Vibroplex with everything you're doing, and bringing great products to amateur radio. So the deal of the week, don't forget, is still the ARRL handbook. And we've got the 2020 ARRL handbook is 25% off at DX Engineering. So we'll look forward to hopefully lots of folks loading up with the handbook while we've got it on that special. So tomorrow will be the weekend special here at K3LR, and that's 4:00 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 20 Zulu on Facebook and YouTube on the DX Engineering channels. For now, 73, Scott, and 73 to all the viewers, and we'll see you next time for the Manufacturer Showcase here at DX Engineering. 73.
Thanks, Sam.